Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on wherever you are. So, it's good morning for me. It's 10 o'clock in the morning here in Spain. I'm on my second coffee of the day, a little bit late with my coffees today. First thing I'm going to do is light a candle. And as you know, whenever I light a candle at the beginning of most videos, if I remember. But the point of lighting a candle is, the candle is for all those who are lost, all those who have lost someone, all those of us who are lost in one way or another. You know, a lot of us, I know that people have got various problems. You know, life is hard, isn't it? Sometimes people have health problems, financial problems, relationship problems, just generally feeling a bit, you know, there's wars going on in the world. Every time you turn the news on, it's depressing. So we all need a candle lighting for us. So the candle is sort of for everybody, for all the cases that we talk about, and the families of the victims and the families of the perpetrators. Most people need help one way or another, don't they? But today I'm going to talk about Rachel Morin. And so the candle, especially, it'll always be designated in particular to someone. And the candle today is designated for Rachel Morin and her family. Now, this is a case that has not been resolved yet. Unbelievably, not been resolved yet. Hi, David. So here's the candle for you as well, David, the candle for all of them, for your wife. I know she's better now, but I hope she's carrying on recovering. We've been following this case from the get-go, from the absolute beginning. It started in August last year when Rachel was walking. Rachel is a mother of five children. And she was walking on a trail in Maryland, in the Ma and Pa Trail. And she was just taken. She was just literally attacked like some troll. Literally, some troll had come out of, from under a bridge, attacked her, dragged her back under this bridge, or, took her to a tunnel on the trail, like a sewage tunnel, really, or a water tunnel, not sewage, probably. Viciously attacked her, viciously murdered her, left her, so much damage to her face. It was horrible. It was a vicious, nasty attack. So just to remind you of that, what had happened, and then, there was obviously attention turned to her boyfriend, as it always does. There was various people sort of came under a bit of suspicion who had, who had done this to this woman. Now, as you can see, Rachel's a very beautiful woman. She's a very striking woman. I personally still believe that this person stalked Rachel, saw her before. I don't believe that was the first time he saw her. I think maybe he might have seen her on that trail before, or he may have seen her around the town, or, because you would not forget Rachel. I find it hard to, unless he was just literally waiting there for someone, appropriate to come along. And unfortunately for Rachel, it happened to be her. But there's something that makes me feel that maybe, because the police believe he was in the area for a few days. Now, so then everyone was sort of thinking like the usual suspects, if you like. And then suddenly, out of the blue, the police announced that they had DNA. They had DNA from an attack that we still do not know exactly what this attack consisted of, but it was right across the other side of the country in Los Angeles, miles away. And it was a home invasion. The police are saying that it may well have ended up, if it hadn't been interrupted, luckily there were other people in the house, but a girl was attacked. And as I say, we don't know all the ins and outs, but luckily you know, the sheriff, my sheriff, that's why I've got the sheriff badges up there, because I've got a little bit of a soft spot for the sheriff that's dealing with this case. Jeff Gaylor, he said, you know, that it was thought that if this person would not have been interrupted, it may have ended up the same way as Rachel ended up. So, well, that was a long, long time ago now when they said about this DNA, and I think we all thought, I certainly thought, he would be caught quickly. You know, they've got his DNA, for goodness sake. I agree, David. I think that they may have seen that guy, have seen him around the area. I still think there's sort of more to that area. You know, I think he was around there for a while, a few days. He was probably there hiding from because he didn't, you know, he'd probably gone all the way over there. He's obviously got connections there. But why had he gone from Los Angeles all the way over there? Maybe because he was, you know, hiding from the fact of what he'd done in Los Angeles. And then, unfortunately, Rachel was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or anyway, so yeah, we thought, oh, this will be easy. This, you know, they've got his DNA. What more do they need? And here we are. So this was August last year. This happened, and here we are in April, nearly a year later, and still this man has not been seen, not been caught. There's a $35,000 reward out for this man, and you know, that's a big reward. The flyers have been out in Spanish, because he's Hispanic, the guy, and there's a big Hispanic community in Los Angeles, not so much in Maryland, but you may have known somebody there. Why was he in Maryland? You know, he was either there working, hiding. He must have known someone, though. You don't just go off to a place that you don't know anybody and hide out, do you? You know, so I think he had some connections to that area. Anyway, recently, just quite recently, they finally released a photo fit of the guy, and it's taken ages for this photo fit to come out. And apparently that was because the case spans two, you know, there's the witnesses from Maryland, people that may have seen him around, and there's people from Los Angeles, from what he did in Los Angeles. So because of that, and the distance between them and everything, it's taken a long time to arrive at a photo fit that everybody was happy with. So this is what Jeff Gaylor told us, the sheriff, that the reason it took so long for the photo fit to come out is because everything, you know, it kept going back and forth, and then one would be saying, no, the ears aren't right, or the hair's not right, or that's not right. And so eventually this is the photo fit that everybody agrees, all the witnesses agree, is the best likeness of him. And this baseball cap that he's got on, he hasn't got that baseball cap anymore because he left that at the scene in Los Angeles, and that's where they got the DNA from. So, you know, we're all wondering how he'd got the DNA, because he was thwarted in his attack there. He didn't have a chance to kill the girl, or even, well, as far as I know, he didn't manage to carry through his assault in any way. But he left his baseball cap there, and that's where they've got the DNA from. So this is where we are still, though. You know, the last time the police department did an update was on the 6-month anniversary. So a couple of months ago now, nearly 2 months ago, they did. Oh, just realised I've got my members live sign on. It's not members live, is it? That was from last night. Let's see. I just want to take that off. I think we'll have I'm not in the mood for twonks today instead. There you go. Yeah. So this is sort of where we are. So poor Rachel's family, I mean, they've lost Rachel. Rachel's not coming back. Whatever, they've buried her. Actually, I will show the gravestone in a moment. But they haven't got the resolution. This guy is still wandering around. You know, he's still free. Where is he? Where is he? You know, he may have fled the country. He may well have fled the country. But even so, someone must know who he is, where he is. You know, he's not a ghost. You know, he's not a phantom. He's a person. And he is somewhere. And somebody knows where he is. So where is he? Anyway, so I wanted to do this update because I don't want to let this go. Rachel's mum and the sheriff's department want people, you know, YouTubers like me. They want attention. They want her name to keep being circulated. Hi, Simon. Yeah, they want her name to be circulated. They don't want this to turn into, it's not a cold case. Hi, Mara. It's not a cold case as far as they're concerned. So first thing I just wanted to show you or read out to you is because I have read this out on a members video, I think, but I haven't read it out on a public video. But I actually did email the sheriff's department. Riley, stop it. So I sent an email to the sheriff's department about how long? So where are we now? 19th. I sent this on the 10th of April. And I just said, my name is Vicky. I have a small YouTube channel. We've covered the Rachel Morin case from the beginning. And I was wondering if Sheriff Jeff, my sheriff, would release a statement or maybe even give a short interview that might help in any small way to find this awful guy. I'm a Spanish and English teacher also, and I can release a statement in Spanish. I have subscribers all over the world, so you just never know. It may attract the attention of someone. And you know what? It just may. And I'm going to put this on my Spanish and English channel as well, because I have a lot of viewers from South America who are learning English, you know, and you just don't know, do you? You know, I'm going to definitely put it on. I haven't put it out on that channel yet, but it just occurred to me, you know, I do have subscribers from Mexico and various South American countries who are learning English. And so just, gosh, you just never know, do you? So, and then I said, it just seems incredible. This awful guy's not caught yet. Thanks for your time. And then they replied, the sheriff's department replied, the director of media and public relations from the sheriff's department said the sheriff has released many statements as well as a podcast. Well, we listened to that podcast about the investigation. Please feel free to use anything that has been released. So, you know, this is the other thing that I like about this sheriff's department is they're encouraging people to help. It's not like, oh, you know, you stupid social media person, you know, get out of here and don't, you know, like, just let us get on with our job. You know, like we get in Britain, it's just like, oh, you know, TikTok ghouls and social media ghouls. Everyone's a ghoul except the mainstream media, as far as the mainstream media is concerned. And the police aren't very forthcoming, are they, in the UK? But what I've found, it's just nice. It doesn't take much, does it, to just send a little email like this back. So, yeah, please feel free to use anything that is released. Can you send me a link to one of your podcasts? Let me know if I can be of any assistance. Thanks, Christy. And this was from Christy Hopkins, who's Director of Media and Public Relations. So I then replied to her or him, I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman. Thank you so much for replying. I know you will be so busy, so that's much appreciated. We avidly watch all the sheriff's updates and we have followed this case literally from the beginning. We're always impressed by his calm manner and ability to give the information he can and be firm but polite in what he can't. I think the last update was the 6-month point and the release of the sketch. He explained so clearly why it had taken so long due to getting all the witnesses to agree. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Yvonne. due to getting all the witnesses to agree on the image. We really thought, and every time new information comes out, I think, oh, surely he must be caught now, surely. We really thought the sketch would result in a result for the police and the family, who must be going through hell knowing this guy is still out there somewhere. I've linked some videos below. My channel is just a small one. It's community-based with a tight-knit group of supporters who genuinely care about the cases we discuss. It's fact-based. I try to avoid speculation and stick to facts, which is why there is the reason that I contacted you directly. So there are so many wild things put out on social media. I tend to concentrate on cases of violence against women due to a stalking experience I myself suffered many years ago, which ended badly. I count myself lucky to be alive. However, I do discuss other cases too. I personally feel Rachel may well have been stalked. She's a very striking woman and she would have been noticed. It feels it was planned to me. God rest her soul now with the angels. Thank you again, and we often light a candle for her on streams, and she and her family are always in my prayers, especially the children. Hopefully some resolution soon. Regards, Vicky. Now, one positive thing, let me just finish, because they did send one more reply. They then replied and said, thank you for continuing to keep Rachel's story in the forefront of people's minds until her killer is identified and arrested. At this time, there have been no additional releases of investigative details. Her case remains active and detectives work every day to bring it to a close. So this reminds us that although sometimes it seems like there's nothing going on, no action going on, that doesn't mean that there isn't. When Sheriff Jeff feels like he can divulge more information, he will divulge more information, I suppose so. And I know it's quite complex because they've got the Los Angeles case as well. They've got two cases, so you've got Maryland and you've got Los Angeles. Whether the FBI will ever or are involved or will get involved, I don't know, because it does cross state lines. Normally, if it crosses state lines, the FBI get involved, don't they? Anyway, just wanted to read that out to you. And there was something else that I was going to say then, and I can't remember. That's the trouble. If I don't say something when it first pops into my head, I forget about it. But anyway, basically, I just thought that was nice. I'm glad that I sent the email. It's nice that they appreciate that people genuinely are, care about these murderers being caught. It doesn't matter if you knew Rachel or not. Rachel, any woman like Samantha Murphy, Rachel, Nicola Bulley, etc., these high profile cases, but they are like every woman, really. It's like any, Riley Strain's case, Sebastian Rogers. We're talking about one person in particular who we don't know, but it could be someone we know. These are cases that could happen to anyone. It's not that's why we're interested in them, because we want to see a resolution. We care about them, although we don't even know them. But also, apart from that, it could be anyone. It could be anyone. It could be any one of our friends or family or mothers, sisters, brothers. So we that's why we care. Anyway, of course, it's gone all quiet again. What I just want to show is recently, actually, before I do that, because I haven't got, she has been buried, Rachel, because of course her body was found. That's the one thing, I suppose, at least they're not wondering where her remains are, like Samantha Murphy's family are, which must be even worse, knowing someone, is deceased, but you can't even bring them home. Right, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to show you a picture of her gravestone, because she has been buried, bless her. She has been buried. Let me just put that up. So here's the headstone. So very sad. Let me just play this video.
Morin unveiled a headstone in her honor at St. John's Church Cemetery in Phoenix, the family hoping it will serve as a tribute to her enduring spirit. Meanwhile, investigators still trying to identify the suspect in this sketch. Take a look, believed to be Rachel's killer. She was murdered back in early August while jogging on the popular Mon Pa Trail right in Bel Air.
So, yeah, her gravestone's been unveiled, and then very recently her mom has released she's like, mate, it's almost a commercial. She's trying something completely different because nothing else has worked so far. Nothing's worked, has it? The bloody sketch, the flyers, the $35,000 reward. Somebody knows who this guy is, but somebody's scared, I think. They're either scared of him, or maybe because maybe they're an immigrant and their papers are not up to date, and they may be scared. Sometimes people are scared of going to the police if they're not completely legitimate, if you like. So maybe if it's somebody knows where he is, but maybe they're in America illegally and they're worried about going to the police because they feel like they might get thrown out or whatever. There's many reasons why people may not say what's happened. So, hi Yvonne. So let's just have a look at what Rachel's mum, this sort of commercial that's been released.
More than 8 months since Rachel Morin was found murdered on the Mon Pa Trail in Bel Air. Now the family has released a new commercial with her mother pleading for information.
Rachel Morin was my daughter. She was a mother to 5 children. She's a sister. Somebody just grabbed her and took her. If he's willing to kill a perfect stranger, he's willing to kill anybody.
Patty Morin is hoping someone with information about her daughter's killer will come forward. The commercial is being broadcast on social media in Bel Air, near the U.S.-Mexico border, and in Los Angeles, where the man who killed Rachel committed a home invasion.
So for those of you who don't know, this was that when the home invasion that he did in Los Angeles, this is him caught on door cam coming out of the home. They couldn't get rid of him quick enough, but he came out as cool as a cucumber, but of course he'd left his cap inside. But he just came out of that house, with his shirt in his hand. I mean, just makes you wonder from what they've been saying since then. Was he, caught actually trying to assault somebody? Had he taken his shirt off for that reason? How could he be so comfortable in somebody's home? It looks like he was in that home legitimately. He's just coming out cool as anything. And he wasn't. It was a home invasion. And I think they just couldn't wait to get him out, Anyway, we're going to watch this again in a minute, but you can see how broad he is. Because I think on that photo fit that we were looking at, from the front, he looks so much younger and so much slimmer than you can just see how strong this guy is.
And sexual assault. The crime have been linked through DNA, but the suspect's identity remains a mystery. Rachel was killed last August. There is now a reward of $35,000 in the case.
Well, tonight,
so it's amazing, really, isn't it, that he's not been caught? Because really now they've got the back view of him, they've got the front view of him. Why has he not been caught? They've got his DNA. Where is he? He's like a phantom, isn't he? He's just like, so maybe he has crossed the border. Well, this commercial that Rachel's mum has done, I just feel so much for Rachel's mum. It has been released in all those places where they think that he might be, that he might be or have travelled through. So he's obviously can travel, you know, he travelled all the way from Los Angeles to Maryland. So he's either got a car or he's got some financial means to get an aeroplane or whatever. You know, he's capable of traveling is what I'm trying to say. So he literally could be anywhere. Oh, and that was the other thing I remember now that I was going to say earlier. Now, Rachel had 5 children, or has 5 children, and they are to different fathers. But one thing that I think has been really positive as well in Rachel's case is the family, the exes, if you like, they've not gone out dishing each other. Like, again, I'm coming back to the Sebastian Rogers case. I don't like the way in the Sebastian Rogers case, it's like you're either for Seth or you're for Katie and Chris. I'm not for Seth or Katie and Chris. I'm for Sebastian. Sebastian's the only person that matters. It reminds me of the Nicola Bulley case. You're either for Peter Falding or you're for the police. I'm not for either of them. I don't care about either of them. I only care about Nicola. So, you know, why do the actual victims get lost in all this mix of he said, she said, and this is right and that's right? Now that hasn't happened in this case. They all seem to have teamed up together, their family, her ex-husband, you know, because the children are at the heart of all this, you know, that have all lost their mother. Now they were living with their mother. So now, you know, the younger ones. So now they've had to be split up as well. You know, they've gone to live with their respective biological fathers. So it's like a family's been torn apart as well. You know, because Rachel was the main caregiver. I mean, they were amicable sort of splits with her exes, but Rachel was the main caregiver. So now the children are sort of, apart from losing their mum, they've probably got a whole new family dynamic now that they didn't have before. And they've lost each other in a way because they're not living together anymore, if you see what I mean. But anyway, so here is Rachel's mum. Again, we just watched this video. This is News Nation, just saying a bit about it.
Said that this commercial is being released in Maryland, in Los Angeles, and in towns along the southern border. Is this because you think he might have escaped into Mexico?
Well, that's certainly one suspicion that we have. We know he's an Hispanic male. We know he has the propensity to travel from California to Maryland, which would, you know, make logical sense that he may be willing to travel out of the country. And therefore, we're running the ads along those border towns through Instagram and Facebook with the hope that somebody might have seen him, either if he came across or if he went back.
So we have Randolph, we have his DNA, but obviously it doesn't match anybody in the DNA data bank in the United States, correct? Has it been checked with Interpol or any international agencies?
They have not indicated that. The Sheriff's Department in Harford County has not indicated that yet. They've told us they've tried to run it through databases and they have come up short.
Patty, you said in the commercial that if he's willing to kill a perfect stranger, he's willing to kill anybody. I got to tell you, that's terrifying. And I'm betting that's going to resonate with people who see this commercial.
I hope so, because Maryland, the town that we live in, is a very small town, and it's unheard of to have something like this happen. Mm-hmm. And for this person to just be so blatant in broad daylight, to just grab someone and murder them, it shows that they have no respect for human life. It shows that they probably stalked and premeditatedly committed this crime. And I think it also speaks to the fact that possibly there's somebody that he's in cahoots with or something that's helping to hide him, because, or he's changed his appearance or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I expect he has changed his appearance, hasn't he? I mean, he's probably got long hair now and he's probably got a beard. You know, he'll have changed his appearance as much as possible. But I agree with Rachel's mum. He is in cahoots, as she puts it, with someone, or someone's in cahoots with him. And I'm not saying that other person was involved in the actual attack, but somebody knows where this guy is. Somebody has helped him, because there's no way on God's earth that people don't know who he is, and they're just scared to come forward. They must be, and they must be really scared to come forward if they don't want a $35,000 reward. You know, where is he? Where is he? And even if he's gone to Mexico, I suppose, you know, I'm just trying to think. So if you say he's got family in Mexico, and he just turned up there and he said, "Oh, I've got fed up with America," they perhaps wouldn't know, would they, about this? Maybe they haven't seen this. I just feel it's been everywhere. But then, of course, that's the social media that I follow, you know, and the things that come up on my feed. He's constantly coming up there because of the nature of the searches I do and things. It may be that, yeah, he's gone over to America, he's gone to back to his family. They may know nothing about it whatsoever, you know, but you just hope that sooner or later someone somewhere will, you know, break. I mean, look at the case of the 2 missing mums in Kansas. It was the daughter, wasn't it, of one of the accused who told on them, basically, and that's what you've got hope for in this, that maybe one of the family somewhere who gets wind of it will, you know, have a crisis of conscience. This guy is an absolute danger. I'd be very surprised if he hasn't done other attacks like this. Really surprised. Either before or since. You don't just suddenly do something like that, I don't think. And the fact that you tried to do it in Los Angeles as well, there's got to be more cases. I mean, the police may well know of more cases, but the thing is, they ran the DNA. There is nothing on the databases in America. You know, so whatever he has or hasn't done, he's been very careful about it.
Because you don't just show up out of nowhere and then disappear out of, you know.
No.
There's got to be
after
more
making
than one
an appearance
person.
and doing an attack on both coasts. It's just, it's really unusual.
Yeah, so the police must have more, because apparently one thing, and I'm sure the police have got more information, because another thing that my sheriff said was they felt he had been in the area for a few days before. So not just arrived, you know, on that day to commit that crime. So I reckon they must have had some CCTV of him, maybe in the local shops or roundabout or on the trail. Oh, and the good news is they have put some cameras on that trail now, more specialist AI cameras that have been put on the trail. Doesn't save Rachel, of course, but it might save other people, and it certainly make people feel safer, won't it? Women especially. So yeah, I think they knew that he'd been around the area for a couple of days. There's probably a lot more things that they know. And of course, after the attack, he had to leave the area. You know, he didn't just beam himself up and over to wherever he is. He's had to, you know, walk around that area in the sense of at least as much as it I mean, what did he do? You know, it makes you think, doesn't it? After the attack, where did he go? You know, where did he go to clean himself up? Where did he go to? Did he just run back to his apartment, grab a few things, and then get in his car and go? But it looked like he planned this attack. And where was his car? Does he have a car? You know, there's so many different things that I suspect, as I say, the police might have, police might know more, but we don't know. Right, sorry, I just carried on. Sorry,
Patty, I just have to ask, you know, your daughter was the mother of 5 kids. How are those kids doing?
Yes. I think that, it's very hard for the whole family. Mm. It's very hard, I believe, for her children. She was close to her children. And I do know that they are getting counseling and getting the help that they need. But I think it's going to be a long road for them.
Randolph, do you think
it's going to be a hard thing?
Yeah, it's going.
Yeah, a lot of you know, it is going to be a hard road for them. Bless them. Hi, Arkan. Yes, lots of variables. Yeah, exactly, David. That's what I think. Why did he go to Maryland? He knew somebody in Maryland. You know, people don't just go to, like, if I was you, well, think about yourself. If I was to go on the run tomorrow for whatever reason, I was to get in my car and think, right, that's it, I'm going, and I want to go where nobody will ever find me, I would still go somewhere. I mean, obviously, I won't go to my family's house in Manchester, because that's the first place the police are going to look for you, isn't it, family? But I probably would go. I would go to don't think I would go. I would go to either a big city. That's where, I might go to Madrid or Barcelona, or, some great big city where I could just blend into the background. Or I would go somewhere maybe not far from where my family were, but, a place I knew. Like, I might go to Reading because I've lived in Reading before. I mean, has he worked in Maryland before? Does he have contacts there? Does he have friends there? Because you need something. It's difficult to just go to a place where, unless it is a big city, where you're just going to go to a great big city. The other thing is you need money. Where's his money coming from? You can't, if you're going to go and live in a big city to lose yourself. If I wanted to go and live in Madrid for a month to stay off the radar, bloody hell, it costs you a fortune. It cost enough just for a weekend. It's like, you can't just go to a place with no money. Where is his money coming from? Who's paying for him to travel? Who's paying for his food? Who's paying for where he sleeps at night? Even if he's sleeping in a tent, he still needs to eat. In which case, of course, as well, there's CCTV. But I suppose if you don't know the area, it's hard to, look for CCTV in there. You can't just look all over America for CCTV. And, everyone thinks he might have gone over the border because of him being Hispanic. But he just might have gone to another state. I mean, America's a big place. You can get lost in America. You don't have to go to Mexico, do you? You could go to Canada. There's just it's they have got a big job on their hands. A job that we thought, once we saw the picture and once with the DNA and everything, I thought, I remember last August thinking, I think I did a video saying, answers coming soon, because I was so convinced that it would not take long to find this twonk that has done this to Rachel.
It's something you never recover from, ever, your entire life. It's a trauma that will be with them and with you forever, regardless of whether or not you get justice, right?
Yeah, that's like this. That's like the hardest part. It's like, not only has my daughter been murdered, brutally murdered.
Hi, Chumba. Good morning.
But it has traumatically affected our whole family for the rest of our lives. It's like, it's devastating. People don't realize just how hard and how devastating this really is.
Yeah, and it goes on and on. I know it happened all in August. I can't imagine even, I don't know. I just don't even know how you get through something like this.
I don't know. We have a lot of friends. Mr. Rice and his wife and his practice have been like such a tremendous support to our family, like unbelievable advocates for us. I am so grateful for them.
Yeah, how do you get through it? How do you get through it? You just have to take it one day at a time. It's just, and as I say, imagine as well, at least, they have been able to bury Rachel. But if they had, in the case of Samantha Murphy, it's sort of strange, isn't it? Because with Samantha Murphy's case, they've arrested the guy who did it, or the police are convinced who's done it, but they still haven't found Samantha's remains. But so they must have a good reason to think that she is dead. Whereas in this case, we know she's dead, and her remains have been recovered, and the family have been able to say, say goodbye in a respectful way. but the person who did it is still roaming around, could be anywhere. That would just torture you, wouldn't it? You'd be you're tortured anyway once you lose someone like that. But knowing that he's roaming around, there's somebody out there, not only him who didn't think your daughter was, was important enough that he just took her life just like that for his own, pleasure. But there's other people out there who don't think your daughter's important enough either, because they won't go to the police and won't dob him in. And I tell you, even if that was my own flesh and blood, that guy, I would be straight down the police station when it was safe to do so. I mean, I understand that people are scared, but because the next person he does it to could be anyone. It's just maybe somebody out there is terrified of him. I expect he's quite a scary person.
Randolph, do you think that there will be an arrest, Randolph, in this case?
I think there will be. I think ultimately that this guy has to be known by somebody. The fact that he was in Los Angeles, he had to have some sort of support network there. And then to come to Bel Air, where it's such a small town, and this Monpaw Trail where Rachel was murdered, there has to be some sort of support network there as well, because it's not just.
Yeah, why did he go to Bel Air? Small town, as I say, he would stick out there. Because the other thing is, he wouldn't blend in there. He wouldn't blend in Bel Air like he would blend in a city or a big Hispanic community. He would stand out. And surely you wouldn't want to go somewhere where you stood out, because don't forget, he'd already committed a crime in Los Angeles. So why did he go to Bel Air? I'm convinced he knew somebody there. And maybe the police know that he did and know who he knew, but it's just not something that they're prepared to release yet. So, but I agree with the guy here. I do think he will get caught. I certainly hope so, but I do think he will, unless he's deleted himself. He may have done, but I don't think so. Somehow I don't get that feeling about him. He's brazen, isn't he? Come out of there as if he was like the nicest guy in the world. I felt that he was saying to that person at the door, now remember what we agreed, or he's probably said, oh no, don't say anything, oh blah blah blah. He'll have come out with some shite, probably in Spanish, to that person. That person's just thinking, just get out of here, and just slam the door shut after him. But I suppose their whole concentration was just get him out of here, get him out of here. And he just comes out so cool. So I don't think he has deleted himself, because he doesn't strike me as a person who's got any remorse, or, he just doesn't look like that.
Off of a major highway, it's really tucked back in the woods. So somebody knows him. Somebody's maybe protecting him or not saying something, but we're hoping that the reward, ultimately maybe the pressure, whatever it may be, somebody comes forward and says, I know who that guy is. Mm-hmm. They provide a name, and ultimately the police can catch him.
And if in fact he's gone to Mexico, which obviously that's why you're playing this ad along the towns and cities along the border, if in fact he's gone to Mexico, you anticipate then being able to hopefully find him there and extraditing him?
I think that's the hope. Ultimately, we hope that obviously the U.S. authorities can catch him here. That would make it a lot easier. But if he does go to Mexico or somewhere South America, that's going to be another task for law enforcement to bring him back.
Patty, this must be a mother's mission for you. Even in death, you are going to do everything you can for your daughter.
Oh, absolutely. In our family, we don't give up on each other. I mean, families don't do that. You love each other and you support each other to the end. And in this case, beyond the end. We're not going to give up. And I think part of the reason why no one has turned them in is because maybe they're afraid for their own lives.
Yeah.
Or maybe they can't believe that this person.
Yeah, I think they may be afraid for their own lives. So yeah, maybe they can't accept that this person, if it's their son or their brother or their, I don't know, boyfriend, maybe they just can't accept that it might be him who's done it. But I think it's more likely to be, because they're scared of him, to be honest.
Would actually do something. Maybe they have a brother or just, or their best friend, and they can't believe that that's actually him.
Patty
And,
Morin, Rachel, yeah, it's such a tough road you're on. Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com.
Okay. So, one more video to show you. Let's have a look at this. Just about the commercial again.
Mom is trying a unique way of finding her daughter's killer. She's making a desperate plea in a commercial.
Rachel Morin was my daughter. She was a mother to 5 children. She's a sister.
Patty Morin appears in the 30-second commercial, tearfully asking for help in solving what happened to her 37-year-old daughter, Rachel, who disappeared last August while out for a jog. 24 hours later, she was found brutally murdered.
Somebody just grabbed her and took her.
Cops say the man in this video is their #1 suspect.
If he's willing to kill a perfect stranger, he's willing to kill anybody. If you know this person, turn him in.
The search for Rachel's killer has exposed the apparent existence of a cross-country monster on the loose. Rachel's body was found along a popular jogging trail in Maryland, but authorities have linked her murder to a home invasion right here in Los Angeles. Cops say the shirtless man in this surveillance video attacked a young girl during the LA home invasion, which took place 5 months before Rachel was killed. His DNA matches a sample taken from Rachel's body.
Nobody's safe until he's caught. Nobody anywhere, because we don't know where he could be now. We don't know where he's going.
I spoke to Rachel's heartbroken family.
I've seen her children asking horrible questions that no child should ever ask.
Yeah, so this is Matthew. He's the father of her oldest child. So he's her ex-partner. He seems like a really nice guy.
And I don't want to see any other child ask these same questions.
Someone knows this guy. I know that.
This is her brother Michael. He went to the murder scene. We saw him in the tunnel. That was a very evocative video. The thing is, this grief goes on and on. The ripples of grief when someone dies or is murdered, they just go on and on and on. All the ripples go out. So many people affected, and then the twonk who's done it, he's just bloody. He's probably off somewhere living his best life. Terrible.
There's someone that recognizes this guy.
And her family hopes this commercial will help bring justice for Rachel.
Women should be able to feel safe going out for a jog and not feel like they're going to get killed.
Somebody just grabbed her and took her.
Yeah. So anyway, it's very important that we keep talking about Rachel. Because I don't want this to, we don't want this to come to become a cold case where it's like years on and we still haven't found this twonk. So it's very important we keep talking about her. To me, this case is, because we covered it right from the beginning. And God, I've spent all that time. In the beginning, it was every day I'd be on like I am now with Samantha Murphy. Every morning, the first thing I do really is look to see what news there is, because I was so convinced, especially after the police released, the statement about the DNA and the video in Los Angeles. I was so sure that this case would get resolved so quickly. And here we are, nearly a year on, and not far off a year on, so 8 months on from when Rachel was murdered, and still this twonk is still walking around, having a beer, eating a pizza, doing whatever he's doing, probably got a girlfriend, just living his life, and nobody knows where he is, and it's very annoying. So every day I always pray for Rachel. So that's who the candle's dedicated to today. I hope you'll all keep Rachel in your thoughts and in your prayers. And hopefully one day, not too far from now, we will have my sheriff. Let me put my sheriff on. Hi, Tracy. maybe one day we will have my sheriff on telling us that this twonk has been arrested. Let's hope so. Anyway, sorry, Tracy, I'm going now. I've just finished, but I will be back later. I'll be back for an afternoon live, which I'm going to discuss quite a few things. And one thing I just wanted to add at the end here, which is changing the subject. I don't like changing the subject when I'm talking about one particular case, but just to say, I don't know if you've seen, but I will be talking about it later. Sebastian Rogers, seems that Chris Proudfoot did take a lie detector test and supposedly passed a police lie detector test. And Seth Rogers, the biological dad, took a lie detector test with Nancy Grace and fell asleep many times through the lie detector test, and is actually, so in the end it was what do we call it, unspecified, or they couldn't come up with a proper result. And of course some people are still saying, no, well, just because Chris Proudfoot passed the lie detector doesn't mean say he's innocent. Which of course it doesn't, because lie detector tests are not admissible in a court of law. But he couldn't win really, could he? Because if he would have taken the lie detector test and failed, everyone would be saying, see, we told you he would fail. And now he's passed it and people are saying, oh, well, it doesn't mean he's not guilty. And then whereas Seth Rogers has taken a Nancy Grace lie detector test. Now, we haven't seen the Nancy Grace report on this. She hasn't released a video about it, but everyone's saying that I don't know if he failed it, but it was inconclusive because he fell asleep on multiple occasions during the lie detector test, which was put down to the fact that he was exhausted, his medication and this, that and the other. Well, he seems to get through quite a lot of YouTube videos without falling asleep. So I don't know. I'm not sure about this. What was the point in even taking it? He said he took it because he wanted to shame Chris Proudfoot into taking one, which is in a way has worked. But Chris Proudfoot has taken the police lie detector test. So yet again, Sebastian gets lost in the mix. It's not like about Sebastian. It's about, oh, do you believe Seth or do you believe Chris Proudfoot? Or why don't they all get together and stop? Well, it's Seth who's doing most of the attacking. So, that's just my thoughts on it. Anyway, I'll be back later to talk about that. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.